Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I'm Sunny Pancholi, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these FaceTime with industry stalwarts interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulas for many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions, by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge-sharing community. We have one such industry heavyweight on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Dr. Nikhil S. Tambe. He is a highly accomplished professional with diverse background in academia, research, and industry. With a PhD in mechanical engineering from The Ohio State University, Dr. Tambe has made significant contributions in the field of energy generation and management equipment. Currently, serving as the Chief Executive Officer of the Energy Consortium at the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, he has been instrumental in establishing the consortium by raising over $1 million in industry membership. He has created a strategic network with Niti Aayog and government agencies and has fostered global collaborations between industry and academia. Welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, Mr. Tambe.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure, and I really appreciate the opportunity.
So, Mr. Tambe, could you let our viewers know about your journey of becoming CEO of the Energy Consortium at the IITM?
Absolutely. I mean, it's actually a very dream job. If I think about it, IIT Madras is known as the epitome of excellence in terms of technology and is contributing in terms of so many different ways when it comes to the nation. So it's absolute privilege to be here, but the path to getting here has been an equally interesting one for me. So I mean, after I did my PhD, I never saw it as an end. I always saw it as a means to an end. So I thought of, with a PhD, how can I build a good career in research and technology? My first foray was with General Electric. So I got into making equipment which are energy generation equipment. So I worked on wind turbines. I worked on locomotive engines. I had opportunity to work on aircraft engines. So a wide opportunity to work in things which are prime movers, which are prime energy equipment today. And my goal was, how do I convert my technology background into something which is more meaningful, solves problems for the real world. And therefore, the first stepping stone was, was inventions, creating patents. That was something that I was very fortunate to learn and do while at GE. I did that for almost 6 to 7 years of my life. And then, I started realizing that it's not sufficient to have patents as well. You need to be able to make a product or a service which will solve a problem. So the move was more towards innovations, not just stopping at inventing something and leaving there, but innovating. Can I commercialize it? Can I make someone use it in a way that solves a problem for them? So that was the next step of the journey, really spending a good time understanding what innovation really means. It's a very different world. It needs one to really understand what are customers' pain points. Nobody wants a technology which doesn't solve anything for them or which they may not use at all. So that was a big learning and transition. I was very fortunate to be part of a team where innovation was important while working in a tier 2 and a tier 3 environment as well, where it was not easy to introduce technologies because technology costs a lot, and to make it worthwhile, it was important to understand how can any innovation be really made worthwhile. So that was the next part of the journey, and while doing these things, one of the core things which ultimately landed me here also was, I decided to do what I call an on-the-job MBA. It was important to understand the operational side of things. To make products, you need a very good manufacturing base. You need to understand how do I, how do I do accounting? How do I do finances? That was not something which was part of my earlier education. So I actually had a 3-year assignment working in Mumbai, running a P&L for my former universities. The job was very simple. Let's create strategic engagements in India and drive them where we are doing them in a way where we can survive by ourselves, where we can sustain the business by ourselves. So that was fantastic learning, got to understand how to operationalize things. And you just mentioned the number there, we were able to create a $2 million opportunity for that university in India. And how? By delivering research and academic content. We worked very closely with Tata's. So that gave me knowledge about, legal compliance, operational aspects. That's part of my learning. And then the ultimate objective was, if I look at India today, we obviously are doing well. In the recent years, we've had new technologies and research come. There have always been challenges in terms of how do we translate this faster? How do we do a better job? How can we, compare with some other G20 countries when it comes to translating research into products? And that's where I took up this. It's a big challenge to have opportunity to work with many industries, but together as a consortium, give a common goal. Energy right now is a big area. So the common goal is how can we meet as India our needs for energy, which are growing every day. At the same time, also be very cognizant that this has to be not fossil fuel based energy in the future. It has to be more renewable energy. We have to address our own carbon footprint. Now this is a big challenge. This is not for one single entity to solve, whether it's an industry, whether it's academia, like where I am, but it's to bring a collaborative effort together. So that's what we have decided to accomplish. We have built, as you mentioned now, a consortium which has energy majors from across the world, which are coming together. But at the same time, we are also working with the government of India. So Niti Aayog, which is the premier policy think tank for India, we are ensuring that any new energy policies that will get rolled out also have a technological backing, and we will create the answers with the technical horsepower we have, so that, the newer technologies. We are seeing electric vehicles now. We are hearing about hydrogen as a potential alternate energy source very soon. How are we going to make sure that these are sustainable energy choices and not very short-term decisions? So that's kind of where it landed of me with this role. I think spending, 10,000 plus hours in each area is important. Unless you have that experience, it does not make sense to move on. But then there's also a time where, I believe in a learn, do, guide cycle. So if you learn something, do it, and not just do it, execute it to perfection, understand how it can be done in the best way. I have, for example, done Six Sigma, design for Six Sigma as one of the things I did in my learning. And then guide, where results are not just yours, but can you drive them from others? Can you guide others? Can you accomplish it as a team? And then that's what success means. And when you've done that, then be ready to learn again, start, in a new area. So, that's how I describe how I have got here. Of course, by being hungry technologically, but also being open to, the other disciplines, the other things which make it important, to make some solutions come to reality.
Dr. Tambe, thank you for the excellent start to this interview. And it's an honor to interact with someone who exudes such a strong personality. So continuing our conversation, our viewers would like to know that you have devoted your life to learning and have made great contributions to academics and have enriched your industry with strong academic and R&D background. So what has been your biggest inspiration all this while?
That's actually a very good question. I think biggest inspiration, I'm probably going to say something which many others will relate to. My inspiration growing up has been Sachin Tendulkar, right? A cricketing icon. I kind of grew up when he was reaching his peak, and I idolized him. But one thing which I think is a takeaway and which I try to use is Sachin Tendulkar had a very simple dream. His dream was to play for India. If I think about this dream, then he has probably achieved it the first time he went to Pakistan with the Indian team and he played at that age. And he could have easily said, yes, dream has been achieved. But he did not stop at that. And he went on, as we all know, to play for 24 years. And every time he padded up and went onto the field, he was still reliving the same dream, the dream to play for the country. And what that really means is, to be vital, be important, to be significant contributor, to evolve when newer, younger players are coming, and still being able to perform. So to live that dream, it's easy to say it, but to survive that over a period of time. And so he had to make a lot of, I'm sure, self improvements, some of which we know, some of which we may not appreciate just fans of Sachin Tendulkar. But I think continuous improvement, that's my key takeaway from him. I've seen him, I see him in hindsight, when I see of how he built his career. I would love to do something where I am continuously thinking of how can I self-improve? How can I always stay relevant? And more than that, be able to contribute, right? So to me, he's the inspiration, but specifically his dream was playing for India. I'm more mere mortal, as others would say. But the dream is how to be able to stay relevant. And there are other such people who have done it. I mean, I single him out because he's my childhood hero. So continuous improvement is very important. Staying relevant is very important, and that's where I try to repurpose my energy.
So Sachin Tendulkar was quite a surprise to all of his viewers because a person who is from a science background and a PhD would say around APJ Abdul Kalam, but that was quite unexpected. Sachin Tendulkar, yes, he's an idol for many. Okay, so moving on to another question, which is your biggest accomplishment in your academic or professional life?
All right. I think I'm going to pick something which I did in the wind energy area. So I was a young engineer when wind energy in India about 2 decades ago started, to take root. And as an engineer, I was tasked in terms of building a gearbox for that wind turbine. So it's a very typical, regular, maybe even routine task when you think of building any new machine. Right? But when it was brought to India from the Europe and the US designs, the things were very different in India. The climates were different, the kind of duty cycles, the kind of wind speed. So talking some technical things here, but basically what it meant is the wind turbine worked very differently in India, and somebody had to make sure that it did not fail in 2 or 3 years as it was. It needed to last for more, maybe 2 decades. And I remember working on certain aspects of this drivetrain. I even ended up getting some patents while working for my former company, GE. I have gone to Kanyakumari, where there are lots of such wind turbines, climbed on many, understood how our problems have really worked out in the field. And today, if I fast forward, what I see is some of those solutions. Again, I was part of a large team of engineers here in India who are working on this from Bangalore. But we were able to actually take some ideas from our lab and actually go on the wind turbine and see these work out. And those turbines are standing out there today. In fact, they have grown huge. They have become about 41 gigawatt of energy that's installed in India today is wind. I mean, to give a perspective, this is almost 1/5 of all the total energy that we have in India today. And of course, a lot of relentless work that has gone behind this. But it feels great to be able to participate in this kind of a wave that came in the country. And today renewable energy is big. It has not just become mainstream. Everyone understands why it is important. So when I'm riding down the highways in Karnataka or Tamil Nadu with my family, any place I see a wind turbine, I make it a point to tell my children that, hey, that's something that I worked on. Maybe not that specific turbine, but as an area. And that gives me pride to be able to say that I have been able to, in a small way, contribute to something which is out there and lasting, and there's more to do from a community point of view. So I would single that out. There have been few others which gave a lot of personal satisfaction as well. But I think this is something that stands out for me.
Amazing, Dr. Tambe. Okay, so building on that, we would like to know that have you ever felt that there is a better scope for making a business model more sustainable?
Okay. Yes and no. It's kind of my answer. But let me elaborate maybe. So through my industry experience, what I've seen is the most successful things have been where the business has been very agile. Okay, so business sees a lot of cycles. When I was in GE, for example, I worked in long cycle businesses like the aircraft engine, and very short cycle businesses where I even worked for a consumer and industrial product line, including the dishwasher, which had a very small life cycle, maybe 1 or 2 years, and new models would come out. And there were huge differences. So what I learned over there was if the business is agile, if you make your business model therefore a bit more agile, it has more chances of surviving for longer term. it is very difficult to forecast what's going to come down the road. So it is easy to say that I want a sustainable business model that will outlast a lot of things. But it is very tough to think of one. So, for example, in sustainability broadly, I mean, we talk of making livelihoods sustainable. I work on some of the sustainable development goals. The idea is, can I create a business model which is not just for 1 or 2 or 3 years, but lasts longer? Easier said than done. We need to, of course, think of certain things. Our thinking has also evolved. Previously, we would just think of cost. We started thinking of price. We started thinking of value. Now we are also starting to think a lot in terms of making sustainable products as not add-on, not just a brand message, but maybe a value that the product gives. And a lot of customers are starting to accept this. I see this with a lot of appliances. For example, we have the TVs, we have the air conditioners in the house which come with star ratings. Initially, people would not buy the 5-star rating ones because they were costly, and nobody could justify how is this rating system helping me? And over a period of years, now the consumer behavior is shifting. Now people want to have 5-star ones, and they associate it with personal pride, but also a lot more with the fact that they are contributing to saving energy. They're buying an energy efficient product. So, part of the business model being sustainable is being able to create that awareness amongst your customers, being able to work and, live that with them. I mean, as at the end of the day, as a customer, I think of what's my issue today, what will solve that, and there are a lot of options, so I'll go and purchase it. But as a company, if I'm working with the customers, helping the customer understand what's down the road, what are some of maybe regulatory things, something beyond that, I think there is an opportunity to not only work closely with them and therefore create meaningful products, but also, to your point, make business models last longer, make them a bit more, let them sustain more. So that's where I think partial answer is no, but in some cases, yes. To the complex question that you ask of me, but because I think I have seen both of them, but that's how I would address. And by the way, thank you so much. This is a lovely question. I've not been asked this directly in this fashion before.
Thank you. And rightly said, Dr. Tambe. So, okay. My next one is, as an ESG and corporate governance expert, what values do you offer to the corporate world?
So 2 words there. One is expert or expertise and the values. And I'll probably break it down when I address this. Expertise, the most important aspect is the understanding of why something should be sustainable, what makes it sustainable. From an energy world, which I live in more, sustainability is of course a lot more things than energy, but with energy, bringing in more renewable energy. So what does that mean? How do I switch from my today's sources, whether I'm in a home, whether I'm running a factory, what does it mean to me? So that expertise of being able to articulate what's the business impact of making that kind of decision, not just as an emotional one, but as a really economical one. So that's the expertise part. Emissions, I mentioned the wind, but I worked on some places like locomotive engine development, where we had to meet emission regulations. We have Bharat stage 4 now here. We had to make a locomotive engine of that caliber. And that took a lot of understanding of how do emissions work, why the regulator is saying so many things, and how do we comply to it. Of course, we all use vehicles. Many of them are beyond Bharat stage 4 too. Everyone understands this terminology now. So emissions have become a part and parcel of our life. Now what's coming next is greenhouse gas emissions, and therefore a carbon footprint of anything. For example, I mean, I love the kiwi fruit. Some point of time back, I did not know what was the carbon footprint of a kiwi fruit. And I had never thought about it. But now what I understand is kiwi fruits are sourced many times from outside India as well. And if I now add the fact that they are transported over a cargo plane from somewhere halfway across the world to India, and account for how much fuel that airplane burned so that I could have that kiwi fruit, and think of that as a carbon footprint, I start thinking very differently. I have actually not purchased a kiwi fruit since I got to know this. But the fundamental thing here is if you are able to translate the expertise into these kind of values, which people can relate to. For example, calories. I can now think of calories, but I can also see data. Each packet comes with a calorie count written on it. So I can make an informed decision as a customer. Maybe in a near future, we'll have the carbon footprint on it. And as a customer, I'll make a more informed decision. So it will drive my behavior. So we fundamentally have values in this country where we want to use things which are used in a sustainable way. We don't let things to go to waste. So we have a cultural set of values. We have personal set of values. We have to add some, corporate values to this, where what it means is, can I articulate this more easily to my customers and make them relate to this? So how does that expertise translate into some of these kind of things? That's the value from an end customer point of view, as well as me doing something which really means something for the planet Earth. Otherwise it's a motherhood statement, and I love to make it, but I don't know what I should really do on a day-to-day basis. That's why I gave that very mundane example of a kiwi fruit. But I think the expertise is about understanding how emissions work, how renewables work, what are the economic costs of these options, what choices do industries have to shift to this, and then coming to greenhouse gas emissions, where, for example, by the way, SEBI has mandated from this year that each business has to follow BRSR, business reporting and business and sustainability reporting mechanism, which includes greenhouse gas emissions. And now that is part of ESG. So the environmental governance is going to be led by companies reporting scope 1, 2, and 3. And now this is not necessarily new for some of the large companies like, say, a Infosys or a Tata, or in that bandwagon. But if I think of their suppliers, their vendors, they may not today have all the wherewithal. They may have absolute knowledge and interest in being sustainable businesses, or being acknowledging climate change related issues and wanting to do something about it. But how do I translate that? So I think that expertise is what we want to make sure that is accessible to all across the board, all the industries. And because I mean, maybe 2 years, maybe 3, maybe 5 max, but everyone will have to have their own BRSR. So we have to prepare that, and that's the contribution that I think even through my current job I'm doing, and through ESG, there's a bigger opportunity to make sure that this becomes a mandate, as well as there's a good methodology of how to do this. It's not about the unknown fear of what new audit is coming my way, but a structured methodological path towards getting there. So that's how I think I would like to add in this area of ESG.
That's so insightful of you, Dr. Tambe. Since my next is on technology, since technology is an integral part of our lifestyles and you deal with technology on a day-to-day basis. So what are some of the most remarkable changes you have seen in your field with changes in technology? And what changes do you expect to see with the advent of IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, big data, Web 3.0, etc.?
Yes. Okay. Very good question. In fact, I think of this as a tsunami of technologies that are coming our way, and we have to prepare for it. So good part is we know they are coming. More importantly, we know that these are going to fundamentally aid us in the way we are doing it. I think of all these as very constructive technologies for us. There are some fears with some of these, but I don't see those. I know how we should tackle those, is what I mean. So particularly with AI or machine learning. In our field, like with IoT, I've seen and done examples where IoT has become an integral part of asset management. We always care for our assets, but how do we, track them? How do we know something's going to go wrong before it actually does happen? Is where IoT has come and played a big role. If you may think of it as a bunch of sensors, but when they're placed in the right places and supported by a very good algorithm, it helps us understand how anything is performing, how a machine is performing. And I have been part of actually some examples working with Mahindra for their agriculture sector tractors. And tractors have this now. Mahindra has got some IoT-based solutions. They even have a software for this known as DigiSense. I've been part of some projects where we are involved and working with Mahindra as a customer. And I've seen this firsthand and very close, and seen the power of how IoT will be helpful. With AI, I think there's a lot more to uncover for us. It obviously has brought in a lot of promise. In my world of energy, we are facing some big challenges because we see our shift. The Prime Minister has made an announcement on behalf of the nation that we want to go to about 500 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2030. We are about 160, 170 right now. So we have to go far. As we go there, there are some technical challenges for us to maintain those assets when they come live. There's going to be a lot of energy storage that we have to do, which is in the form of batteries, where a lot of power that is generated in the mornings, say from a solar panel, has to be available to me in the night when I am doing I'm watching my TV or doing some other chores. All these new assets are going to be new not just in the fact that we have to install them first time, but we have not handled these kind of things before, and we are going to need a lot of AI, a lot of machine learning algorithms that will help keep sure that these assets are running. And one more extension I'll give is of cyber security. That's one area that we want to be very aware of as a nation. The grids are going to be big deal for a country, but we are also thinking of linking grids for different countries. We have this one world, one solar project. And it's a fantastic idea. We want to make sure that our national securities are also maintained, and cyber security is an important area. So as a technologist, I see all these, all the different things, they're coming together. We need to use them, of course, very responsibly, but they bring such fascinating power with them. That I'm actually fascinated that some of these things are, I may not know enough of these things is what worries me. And how do we prepare? And it may not just be me, but as a group of people. So how do we prepare? So fortunately, being in IIT Madras, we have a lot of students whom we are, training, teaching today. They will be future leaders. I'm talking of 2030, 2050 timelines. They are the future of these workforce. So we want to make sure that for them, these are tools and techniques like AI and IoT, which part of their curriculum, and they have lived this. And so therefore they can deploy this. So I am extremely happy to see that I am there when the tsunami of technologies is happening. Technology is my passion, of course. So this is something that I see and find a lot of value in for the future generation that we have. So I am upbeat and looking forward to it.
Amazing, Dr. Tambe. We are building a community of industry magnates. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. So what are your thoughts about these initiatives taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the whole team of WDC?
In short, one sentence, these are extremely welcome initiatives. They are very much needed. Like I said, tsunami of technologies. I'll add one more dimension to this. We all know that we are aspirationally as a nation trying to reach 5 trillion economy. Just recently, we know the news is out that we have reached 3.75. We are number 5 now. I am sure we'll cross 5 trillion. And I'm not just saying this as a thought, but I see and work with a lot of people where, this is a very realistic goal. Now think of the technologies and think of the fact that we are going to see huge growth in the economy in the next 5 or so years. We need a lot of experts working together. Otherwise, it will become very challenging. I need to work with a community where I can learn from others, or if I have an issue or a problem, instead of me learning every time, I learn from others. I deploy and use other resources that are available to me. I think this community is absolutely needed. Bringing industry experts, and they may have worked in different fields also, but the way they have employed some of their ideas will help us grow as a community. So I value this. In fact, one more thing is, because of all these things happening, even the government is going to need help. The policy think tank, for example, that I work with, what's the help? As regulators think of new regulations, they need to have data upfront rather than enforce something and then others come. So this community that is being built can not only coach and mentors others, but can also create interesting insights and maybe white papers which will help the regulators before regulations actually come in. So I see that dual importance of this community. In my small way, I am part of this Southern India Chamber of Commerce and Industries. I participate as a chair of Energy Committee, and I can relate to what you're saying. I mean, there are so many things where the government reaches out to us as a forum. and we can quickly reach out to different members. But we rely on our current knowledge. I think what you're doing kind of also goes beyond. So this is a very interesting but more welcome initiative. And I mean, in fact, I would like to participate in a way, if I could, in this initiative. I'm absolutely thrilled that something like this has been thought out by Zishan and team.
Great. Great, Mr. Tambe. Your expertise and passion for the subject matter were evident throughout the interview. And it was so inspiring to witness your dedication to excellence, really. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire future leaders. Thank you, Mr. Tambe, for joining us today. Wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute has unquestionably expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds.
Thank you so much, Sunny. And on behalf of you, I would like to thank Zishan team and the Directors Institute. It's been lovely talking with you, and thanks for some of the interesting questions. I'm going to think a bit more on these as I go back. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a nice day.